Section 1. August 25, 1951. Lubbock, Texas, 9:20 p.m. Four professors from Texas Technological College are sitting in a backyard. Scientists, educated men trained to observe and describe accurately. They are enjoying the warm Texas evening when one of them looks up. A formation of lights moving across the sky from north to south, fast, silent, arranged in a curved arc, roughly semicircular. Approximately 15 to 30 individual lights, bluish-green in color, gone in seconds. The four professors look at each other. They are scientists. They want to describe what they just saw precisely, but they cannot explain it. Over the next several weeks, the same formation appears again, and again, and again. Always over Lubbock, always the same arc formation, always fast and silent. Dozens of witnesses across the city. Then a 19-year-old student named Carl Hart Jr. sets up his camera. He photographs the lights. Not once, 5 times. 5 separate photographs of the formation in flight. Those photographs were published in Life magazine, the most widely read magazine in America, in 1952, with full editorial endorsement. The U.S. Air Force investigated under Project Blue Book. Their conclusion? Unknown. Scientists, photographs, national publication, Air Force investigation. This is the Lubbock Lights, and almost nobody has told the full story properly. Section 2. The Professors. August 25, 1951. Lubbock, Texas. Lubbock in 1951 was a small city on the high plains of West Texas. Flat, dry, the sky enormous in every direction. Home to Texas Technological College, now Texas Tech University. And on the night of August 25th, 4 members of that college's faculty were sitting outside. Dr. W.I. Robinson, Professor of Geology. Dr. A.G. Oberg, Professor of Chemical Engineering. Dr. W.L. Ducker, Head of the Petroleum Engineering Department. Professor P.F. Guerin, of the English Department. These were not credulous men. They were academics, scientists, 3 of them with engineering or hard science backgrounds. Men who spent their careers distinguishing between observation and interpretation, between what they saw and what they thought they saw. At 9:20 p.m., Robinson was first to notice something. A formation of lights crossing the sky from north to south. He called out to the others. They all looked up. By the time all 4 were watching, the formation was already near the horizon. It was gone in seconds, perhaps 3 seconds from when they first noticed it. They sat in silence for a moment, then began describing what they had each seen. Their descriptions were consistent. A curved arc, roughly a semicircle, of individual lights, between 15 and 30 lights, moving together, fast, silent, bluish-green color. No sound, no trail, no exhaust. The 4 professors did not call the newspaper. They did not contact the Air Force. They were scientists. They sat there and tried to explain it. They considered temperature inversion, atmospheric effects that can make ground lights appear in the sky. They considered birds. Flocks of birds can sometimes reflect city lights. They considered conventional aircraft in formation. None of it fit. 4 scientists, 3 with hard science backgrounds, could not explain what they had seen over Lubbock, Texas. Section 3. It keeps coming back. What the four professors did not know that night was that they would see it again and again. Over the following weeks, the same formation appeared multiple times over Lubbock, not just to the professors, to dozens of residents across the city. Construction workers, housewives, students, veterans, all describing the same formation, the same arc, the same bluish-green lights, the same speed, the same silence. Carl Hart Jr., The Photographs. Carl Hart Jr. was 19 years old, a student at Texas Tech. He had heard about the lights. He had his camera ready. On the night of August 31st, 6 days after the professor's first sighting, Hart was in his backyard, and the lights appeared. He photographed them. He got 5 separate photographs, 5 frames of the formation in flight, showing the arc of lights, clear, unambiguous, against the dark Texas sky. Hart took his photographs to the Lubbock Avalanche Journal. The newspaper published them, and then Life magazine came calling. In 1952, Life magazine published Hart's photographs with full editorial endorsement. Life in 1952 had a circulation of approximately 5.5 million copies. These photographs went to 5.5 million American households. Mainstream America saw the Lubbock lights. Hart's photographs were scrutinized intensively by the Air Force, by photographic experts, by scientists. No evidence of tampering was found. No evidence of double exposure. No evidence of faking. A 19-year-old student had photographed something in the Texas sky that no one could identify. Those photographs are real, and they have never been explained. Section 4. The Investigation. The Lubbock lights attracted serious official attention almost immediately. This was 1951, the early years of the Cold War. Unidentified flying objects over American cities were not a joke. They were a potential national security concern. Project Blue Book. The U.S. Air Force's Project Blue Book, the official government UFO investigation program, sent an investigator to Lubbock. Lieutenant Edward Ruppelt was the head of Project Blue Book at the time. He later wrote extensively about Lubbock in his 1956 book, The Report on Unidentified Flying Objects. Ruppelt interviewed the professors. He examined Hart's photographs. He reviewed the dozens of witness accounts. His conclusion, at the time he was actively investigating, was that the Lubbock lights were one of the most significant cases in Project Blue Book's files. He was convinced that something genuinely unusual was occurring over Lubbock. He believed the photographs were genuine, and he could not find a conventional explanation. Project Blue Book officially classified the Lubbock lights as unknown, one of the few cases in the entire program to receive that classification. But the story does not end there. Years after his investigation, Ruppelt revised his position. In a later edition of his book, he suggested that he had found a natural explanation. He never specified what that explanation was. He simply said he had solved it and could not reveal the solution. That is an unusual position for a scientist to take. I have the answer, but I cannot tell you what it is. Researchers have pointed to this reversal as evidence of pressure on Ruppelt to provide a conventional explanation, even if none actually existed. Whether that is true, no one has ever produced the explanation Ruppelt claimed to have found. The official classification remains unknown. Section 5. The Photographs. Carl Hart's 5 photographs remain among the most discussed UFO images ever taken. Not because they show a metallic disc hovering dramatically over a building, but because of what they show consistently. In each photograph, a curved arc of lights. Moving across the Texas sky, the lights appear to be arranged around the leading edge of something, not random, not scattered, arranged, consistent between photographs, as if lights are attached to the underside of a structured object. The photographs were taken with a relatively simple 35mm camera in 1951. The exposure time was short enough to capture the lights as distinct points, not blurs, meaning the formation was either relatively slow or the lights were very bright, or both. Multiple photographic analysts examined the images over the years. The consistent finding: the photographs show real lights in a real sky. Not a double exposure, not lights thrown in the air, not a hoax that analysts could demonstrate. Real lights, in the Texas sky, in an arc formation, moving fast and silent. What the witnesses described versus what Hart photographed. The detail that strengthens the case most is the consistency. Hart photographed what the professors had described before he photographed it. Hart was not present at the professor's sighting. He heard about it secondhand. When he photographed the formation 6 days later, his photographs showed the same arc formation the professors had described. Same configuration, same number of lights approximately, same movement pattern. Independent witness descriptions and independent photographic evidence, consistent with each other, across different nights and different observers. Section 6. Honest debunking. Because this is Vantage Elite, we go through what the skeptics say, honestly. The Plovers theory. The most enduring conventional explanation for the Lubbock lights is birds, specifically the plover, a migratory bird that passes through West Texas in late summer. Plovers fly in formation. Their breast feathers can reflect artificial light, particularly the new sodium vapor streetlights that Lubbock had recently installed. Under the right conditions, a flock of plovers flying over a city at night could appear as a formation of lights. This explanation was first proposed by Donald Menzel, an astronomer and notable UFO skeptic. And it is a legitimate scientific hypothesis. It deserves honest consideration. The temperature inversion theory. Some researchers have suggested that temperature inversions, atmospheric conditions that bend light, could explain some of the Lubbock sightings. Temperature inversions can make ground-level lights appear to be airborne. Again, a legitimate observation. What the skeptical explanations cannot account for. The plover theory has one significant problem. Plovers are birds. They do not move at the speed multiple witnesses described. They do not maintain a precise arc formation under variable conditions across multiple nights. And most significantly, their breast feathers reflect light in a soft, diffuse way, not as sharp, distinct points of bluish-green light. Hart's photographs show sharp, distinct lights, not the soft reflection you would expect from bird feathers. The professors, 3 of whom had hard science backgrounds, specifically considered birds and rejected the explanation. They knew what birds looked like over Lubbock at night. The temperature inversion theory does not explain Hart's photographs. Inversions cannot be photographed as distinct light points in a structured arc formation. And inversions do not appear on multiple separate nights in the same configuration. Ruppelt's unexplained reversal, "I have solved it, but I cannot tell you the answer," is not a scientific explanation. It is a statement that raises more questions than it answers. The Lubbock Lights case has 4 professors, 5 photographs endorsed by Life magazine and examined by Air Force analysts, dozens of additional witnesses across multiple nights, and an official Project Blue Book classification of unknown. That is an unusual amount of evidence for birds. Section 7. Ending. The 4 professors continued their academic careers at Texas Tech. They gave their accounts to Ruppelt. They gave their accounts to researchers over the years. Their descriptions never changed. They saw what they saw on August 25, 1951, and on the subsequent nights, and they never found a satisfactory explanation. Carl Hart Jr. took his 5 photographs. He sold them to Life magazine. He collected his fee, and then he stepped back from the story entirely. He gave interviews over the years, reluctantly. He consistently said the photographs were genuine. He consistently said he did not know what he had photographed. He was not a UFO enthusiast building a career on the story. He was a 19-year-old student who happened to have his camera ready on the right night. Edward Ruppelt, the Project Blue Book investigator who initially called Lubbock one of the most significant cases in his files, died in 1960 at the age of 37. His unexplained solution died with him. Whatever he claimed to have found and chose not to reveal is gone. Hart's photographs are still available. You can look at them today. 5 frames, 5 sets of lights in an arc formation over Texas. In 1951, before computers, before digital manipulation. Examined by the Air Force, examined by photographic experts. Nobody found evidence of a hoax. Here is what I keep coming back to with the Lubbock lights. It is not the photographs, though the photographs are remarkable. It is the professors. 4 Texas Tech academics, 3 hard scientists, sitting in a backyard on a warm August night, looking up, and spending the next several weeks and the rest of their careers not being able to explain 3 seconds of lights in the Texas sky. Project Blue Book said, unknown. Life magazine said these photographs were real, and the Plovers were just birds. Subscribe to Vantage Elite for cases like this, documented, verified, done properly. Drop a comment. 4 scientists, 5 photographs, and the Air Force said, unknown. What flew over Lubbock, Texas? And I will see you in the next one.